The hat says, let's see it here. He has been saying, Cesta Cyclones, let's go cones. Chris came in here and said, I don't want it to be cones. It should be clones. Greg said, I like it better this way.
Did you cover up your Lobo Fantasy League Championship hat for that? Because I recognize the front of that Admiral cap.
It's a truly terrible baseball cap. Okay, it's got what looks like a bit of fishing rope on it, and then I guess laurels, yellow laurels.
It's like the Navy.
Yeah,
like a Navy
careful,
cap.
Dan. Careful, Dan. Thank you for your service, Greg.
Yeah,
that hat was a gift, and you covered it up with this.
Aye.
Mike Ryan, you said thank you for your service, and Greg Cote's service today includes making us start 15 minutes late because he spilled coffee all over this room, walls, floors that were already sticky are now stickier. And as an added bonus, the cleanup took so long and was so vigorous that he's now winded. We have begun the show, and he's going to sound like he's fighting for breath.
You could have helped out. I mean, I was chipping in. You didn't do anything. You were watching us. He spilled coffee. It wasn't his fault. It was a mistake.
I didn't see him spill the coffee. I bought him the coffee. I did not. I handed it to him very carefully because I thought that was going to happen all over the computers. I left the room, and I come back, and I hear him muttering, Dan's going to be so mad.
The old Jason Kidd situation, right? We ran out of timeouts. Amin's not here yet, so Greg spilled a drink all over the court. Buy him some time.
Where is Amin? Amin just...
Oh, who knows?
Yeah, Amin gets here when he gets here.
Took a red eye back to Arizona and then a red eye back here because I don't know, he just shows up late and drunk. Greg's just looking at his hat now again and again in the Zoom, just mesmerized by himself.
Well, you get a new hat, you really want to enjoy it. You know, you appreciate all the embroidery.
That is not a new hat. That hat was purchased in the 1980s.
No, it was not. I can testify to that.
It was gifted to him a month ago by a fan. It says Lobo's Fantasy Champion on it, I believe.
No, it doesn't. It says Cesta Cyclones.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go Cones.
Yep.
What happened with the coffee? What happened? How did it get all over the walls, under the desk, on the floor? What happened?
I was rummaging for my misplaced smartphone, and I was looking around for it. The coffee had been placed right here. Mm-hmm. The handoff by you was
right
fantastic.
here. Always helps on a podcast.
Yeah. You said fantastic.
You said fantastic. $1.
Yeah, it's $1.
You also said the F word right after that. So
why did you forget your phone? Where's your phone?
I don't know, which is weighing on my mind. Believe me, I don't have any singles. I'm an important man.
Want me to front you one or what? I got you.
Assuming it's in the same room, you could have just asked one of us to call you.
No, I don't think it is.
I'm calling him.
I'm concerned I left it on my car, which means somebody
on your car.
Someone has pilfered it already.
Greg, I'm putting $1 in. You pay me back with interest. Okay?
You got it. That's right. The usual 1%.
Yeah. Thank you.
What happened with the coffee?
I inadvertently, my elbow spilled it. I immediately was chagrined. I did a dash for the things, the towels, paper towels.
Yeah.
But it spreads so quickly. It was like coffee lake in here all of a sudden, and it's sticky. And I was on my hands and knees like a charwoman, and cleaning it up. And
hold on, what is a charwoman? We need to look that up.
I need to make sure this isn't
like get us canceled.
Can you say
that?
What
an occupation?
What is it? I don't know what a charwoman is, and
a woman employed to clean houses or offices. I think we're all right. Just say char person.
What kind of houses though?
Okay, just say char person.
This is going to age poorly. Just him. I'm talking about. Him being on camera.
Charred.
The rest of his life is going to get us in trouble at some point.
Thank you.
I called your phone. Did you not hear it vibrate? Because then it's not in that room. But you do have a lovely voicemail message.
Thank you.
It could be in the garbage, Greg. The phone. I'm serious.
No, well, the first break in the show, I'm going to sprint to my car, and hopefully I just left it.
You're not sprinting, though. Let's be honest.
Right. I'll do a fast walk, though.
From Wikipedia, char women have also sometimes been referred to as scrub women. The word comes from the same root as chore woman.
Right. I mean, no disrespect.
I just don't want to talk about this stuff with you anymore. Like, it's not worth it. Like, what you're contributing on Tuesdays, I don't want you to end us all because you just do a you thing that spills the metaphorical equivalent of coffee all over our careers.
Yeah, well, better that than some other liquids. I mean, the smell of coffee in here is pungent. It's wonderful.
Yeah, grape juice. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that would be a little acidic. a little acrid. But coffee's fantastic. Oh, shit!
Another $1, some more interest, Greg. Here you go. I'm running out of singles, by the way.
I'm glad that you now see how much of a crutch the word fantastic is for you. I'm glad that you're fine. Because I had to wrestle. I thought of your wife and your son the other day.
For me. I mean,
the other day, I thought of his wife and his son because he is so stubborn that no matter how right you are when you approach him with something, you will be wrong the first 3 times you try to make an appeal. Like he will just argue, and then eventually he'll realize, oh, yeah. I'm doing that thing, but he will fight you, and it's like wrestling an alligator that coughs in your face the entire time. He will fight you the first thing, and your wife, Khris, you know I'm right about this. Like you cannot approach your father ever, no matter how right you are, and be right the first time. He will fight you for no good reason other than just to be disagreeable.
It's probably the most annoying thing about him, that he just, even when he's wrong, he will not give you the satisfaction of admitting that he's wrong, as he tips his cap for no reason at all.
I disagree with that. I think I'm a malleable man. I think I'm open to suggestion. We all have our oratory walking canes. You have yours.
Sure. Yes, I
could
have
name
many.
a dozen of them.
I have many. Yes, that is right.
Base is the color of clouds, that kind of thing.
That is something that you were making me fun of. You were making fun of me in the 1980s. I have not used.
It's an evergreen.
I have not used the phrase "bases the color of clouds" since 1990.
Maybe since 2003, the second Marlins World Series.
That's right, Roy. He went with the most obscure of my references. Yes.
I've never heard you say it.
No, you've known me. We worked together for 20 years. I have not said it in those 20 years.
That's a print thing. You don't say it. I mean, who says that? In what context would you say it in normal conversation?
We do indeed all have our crutches, regardless. The first 2 or 3 times we told you, you're using the word fantastic an awful lot. Your rebuttal was to ignore us initially and then tell us to bleep off.
No. Ignore, yes. I never told you to bleep off.
He was close, though.
What's
That's
wrong
true.
with saying fantastic? What's wrong with a positive outlook?
Billy, thank you.
Yep.
That is a positive word. It conveys optimism and, a verve for life.
Does it make it better that it's a crutch in his regular life as well? It's not just on air. He says it. It's annoying. It's his whole life. Fantastic. It's fantastic. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Again, Billy's right, as always. Spot
Fantastic.
on.
That was Khris.
Root in fantasy. What's wrong with that? What's
Yeah.
wrong with fantasy? What's wrong with having a world of wonderment? That's Greg's world.
Correct. Wasn't there a great Broadway play called The Fantastics?
There you go.
You know, I want to see it.
Fantastic Four.
I'm living it. Yeah.
You
Right.
don't need to see it.
Was there indeed a great Broadway play called The Fantastics?
I believe so.
Mike Ryan, not so fantastic last night. Your Miami Heat are playing the 76ers, the hated city of Philadelphia, your biggest rival at this point. And the line goes from the Heat are favored by 2.5, to the Heat are favored by 8 because Harden's out, Embiid is out. And you lose to George Niang.
Maxey, good player. Deserves to be in those big 3 graphics after that. Bad loss, one of the worst losses of the season, I think. Granted, it was on the road, and you played an Inspire 76er team, but yeah, it was a bad loss. Those happened during the regular season. I'm bummed that we haven't seen James Harden. I see on Get Up right now, Tim Legler was railing at the fact that James Harden has not suited up against the Miami Heat while he's been playing for the 76ers, and it's an insult to the league. It's been unfortunate that we haven't actually – we've had 2 games, and there really hasn't been much to glean from those matchups post-Harden trade with the Heat and the 76ers. But kind of a slight dip in form for the Miami Heat.
PJ Tucker, that you guys argued is the pivotal piece in all championship runs, has gone from first half of the season being the best three-point shooter in the league, just locking up that corner spot, to regressing to some sort of mean.
Dude, bad misses too.
Yeah.
If you've been watching him, he's been way off since the All-Star break.
Just waiting for the postseason, though.
I don't know. I think we crashed hard to the mean here after after the All-Star break. You'd like to see them play a little bit better. I think probably a 2-game lead now on the Eastern Conference. There's been a lot made out of what spot do you want going into the playoffs. That 3 seed against likely Cleveland or Chicago would be a path to a title if you didn't have ultra confidence in your team. The 1 seed could be really bad. I think you still go for the 1. You go for home court advantage. You got to think
the 1
Nets,
seed can be bad because you might get Nets and then Celtics, correct?
I would say no. The Celtics, I think, are out of the play-in. Right now, it's looking like the most likely scenario is Raptors, Nets. You got to think with the way that the Nets are playing, you'd favor them to win the play-in. And at that point, you kind of be happy that you have the number 1 seed because if the Nets win the play-in tournament, they're the 7 seed, and you avoid them in the first round. You know, my attitude is you're going to have to go through them anyways. Might as well get them out of the way early.
The Celtics are 2.5 out. Like, they're right there with Philadelphia. They're right there with the Bucks. They're 2.5 out. They've won 4 straight. Tatum was great again last night. The Celtics are hot, and they might be the best defensive team in the NBA since the All-Star break. Like, they're playing really well.
They are somebody I was talking about in the second round, right? If you're the 1 seed, do you not have to fear the 4 if the 4 ends up being the Celtics?
Look, man, the Eastern Conference is going to be a rock fight. Even if you draw Toronto, that's a difficult matchup for the Miami Heat. The Eastern Conference has gotten so much better than it was when the Miami Heat won it 2 seasons ago, and it's going to be hard to win it, and that's why I think you go for the home court advantage. As arenas are full again, you're seeing a return to true home court advantage in the NBA, and I'd want that if I were trying to really take stock in the Miami Heat's title chances this season.
PJ Tucker, since the All-Star break, is 5 points per game, 5 rebounds, 2 assists per game. He's shooting 41.9% from the field and 21.7% from 3, according to Heat Muse.
Wow.
21.7% from 3 would make him the worst volume shooter in the league at that percentage. And the thing that I wanted to talk to you about, because we are critiquing a number 1 seed. Admittedly, the starting point on a conversation about this Heat in a pandemic scarred season is they've been very good with an assortment of players, some of whom none of us knew, 4 or 5 of whom none of us really knew anything about before this season started. It's a broken season, and they've been the best team in the East. Their advanced metrics, offensively, defensively, they've been
and head to head.
And they've been a great basketball team. Maybe not Phoenix, and maybe not how you think of Golden State when healthy, and maybe not like how you think of the Nets when you imagine them healthy, even though you've never seen them healthy. But when we're critiquing what you're about to see in the playoffs, the reason the country does not believe in this team, I would say, is because the teams behind them in the standings right now at the end of games have a player better at creating his own shot than what the hell are the Heat going to do at the end of games? Or is it really going to be Jimmy Butler? Is it going to get handed off to Tyler Hero here at some point at the end of games? Because that's not how the Heat do things. Spo says he rides his guys and he'll ride Wade to the very end, and he's going to ride Butler. And I'm telling you, at the end of games, I trust him to get foul shots. I don't trust him to get a whole lot else.
Yeah, but Jimmy's your guy. Jimmy's the guy. He's your number 1 guy. He's your best player, your best offensive player, I think. It's got to be Jimmy, Bam, or Tyler Hero down the stretch, right? Like, who else would you go to in that spot?
I'm just saying, when you look at the other teams, when Mike Ryan wonders about the Heat, that's the place that people will look. The place that they will look is that is a very good team of 4 very good players. 4 all-star.
Yeah.
4 all-star players. But would you rather have Tatum? Would you rather have Embiid? Would you rather have Durant?
Embiid or Harden?
Yeah, I'd rather have those 3 that you mentioned. And then I think we start
Giannis.
parsing.
I didn't even mention Giannis.
Yeah, I'd rather have Giannis,
Middleton.
obviously. No, not Middleton.
Not Middleton.
Middleton had big
Middleton's
shots
great.
last
Look,
year,
Not
man.
Middleton. He's not better than
has
all
had big
4 of the Heat
performances.
players.
He's had big
He's
performances.
not a better option than Jimmy Butler, Khris Middleton?
Chris
No.
Middleton is not a better player. You can't
He's got a
say
ring.
when you...
Okay.
Big shots.
Zing.
When you envision Khris Middleton as a player, do you think he'd go shot for shot against LeBron James in the NBA Finals and make that classic exhausted meme the way that Jimmy Butler did?
I think I'd have more faith in him taking a 3 in a big spot late in a playoff game than Jimmy Butler.
I would too. That's a different conversation. If we're doing it that way, last night notwithstanding, I'd have more faith in Max Strus.
What are you arguing, Stugotz?
I'm just wondering if Khris Middleton is a better option down the stretch than Jimmy Butler. That's all I'm saying.
Are you arguing that Middleton...
I'm not really arguing, just having a conversation.
Milwaukee's second best player is better than the Heat's best player?
Well, you did ask down the stretch if you had one shot who you'd rather have, and he said Middleton.
It's just
and
my
you guys
opinion.
are arguing that Jimmy
Right.
Butler's a better player than him, which wasn't the conversation.
You just said you were concerned about him.
I'm not having this. He flatly said Middleton was better than Jimmy Butler. If he wants to walk it back to a clutch situation, I'm cool with that. Yeah, but that was what the question was, and he went all the way, and he pressed the gas. You're letting him out. That's a Stugotz move. Don't let him press the gas.
What do you mean?
Yeah, no, clutch
I don't even know what you're
situation.
talking about
I think
right
Khris
now.
Middleton has shown that against the Miami Heat, he's a terror. It's when you play perfect defense on him, he can make contested jumpers. Jimmy Butler can do that. Jimmy Butler's not a shooter. Jimmy Butler's a drive to the hoop, get fouled, make the right play. He's still going to be your guy in clutch situations. Miami Heat stars didn't play poorly last night. Only one of them didn't have a good game, and they kind of go as Tyler goes. 5 for 15 last night. He was dreadful. They got nothing from Strus. They got nothing from Hero. PJ Tucker didn't even shoot the ball. He was 1 for 2 from the field. So it was such a weird matchup because of all the stars out for Philadelphia. Not much to overreact to. This feels like classic local hour. Big three, post big three.
And you sound a little, just a touch defensive about getting beaten by George Niang.
And Middleton.
No, I was defensive about the Middleton thing.
If Middleton had a cooler sounding last name, we would think he's better.
Like what?
Just Khris Middleton. Middleton doesn't sound like a stud basketball player's last name.
Jimmy Butler does sound like a stud. Yeah,
it was
Jimmy
like Chris
Buckets.
Spencer.
Right.
It was Chris Spencer.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just spitballing. I'm just spitballing potential cool last names.
An average name. Yeah.
But his
Chris
first name
Fox.
begins with a K.
Chris Fox.
If
That's
it
a
merely
negative.
began with a C, I think he'd be.
Yeah, the K
in his
doesn't
way to-
help.
on his way to Springfield.
Middleton is just never going to be a great basketball player.
Let's be honest. He's going to Springfield regardless.
I think so. If
Everyone gets into that hole.
Yeah, everybody does.
If he wins another title, he's made enough All-Star games.
He averaged 24 a game in the NBA
No
Finals
one's saying
last
he's
year.
a bad player. In
He
fact,
had a
didn't
lot
you
of
win
big
one
shots.
of these? Didn't you win one of these? You said he's better than Scottie Pippen, and then he lifted the title and he got to be right somehow.
I want to look behind the curtain real quick at Stugotz as his morning gets revving, as his morning gets going, because we've been doing this together for a really long time. And there are certain things that he does that I just simply won't look at him when he's doing them, but I can
feel it.
feel him looking at me. And I want to know what it is that he wants, because it's after this long in,
Validation.
this long in, when you look at me and you're like, Springfield, everyone gets into that Hall of Fame. Like just one of your laziest moves.
But the truth.
It is the truth. Yeah.
Right.
Indisputably the truth. But you said it, and then you looked at me as if you want, like a dog would when a dog wants a treat. And
It's rare I look you in the eye and I tell you the truth.
yeah,
I mean,
look, is that what it is?
I think so,
You're
yeah.
so
It's to be
rarely
unsettling.
armed with the truth that when you have it, like, you want to show it to me so that you can trick me all the other times you're lying.
I'm so happy.
I think the reason why Stugotz and Billy get along so well is they're both agents of chaos in their own way. Stugotz a lot closer to like the Heath Ledger Joker version, which is he's just a dog chasing cars and he doesn't know what to do if he actually caught one. He just
Thank you.
he just says things.
He answered your question, and you guys just want to discredit him at every turn. But he kind of was right, and now you guys want to change the question on him.
Spot on.
Not,
Thank you, Billy.
not at all what happened.
Okay, Billy.
Not
Billy's
at all
looking
what
out for Billy.
happened.
Hold on, Billy.
Not at all what happened. My memory is pretty
Mike,
decent
hold
about what
on.
happened
But
there.
just please, let's hear Billy out on this, because Lord knows that Billy would not be here to do anything other than to legislate fairness and make sure that we have
Thank
justice
you.
here. So
The
please,
gag.
so tell us what your perspective on this conversation was.
Well, I was half listening because I was doing other things. But the question was, at the end of the game, who would you take in the East to make a shot? And then Stugotz said he'd take Khris Middleton over Jimmy Butler.
That was not the
And
question.
then you guys turned it into a whole thing about how Khris Middleton is not better than Jimmy Butler.
Wasn't the question. We
I
were
think
going
that was
through
the question.
Embiid,
The way I heard it.
Giannis. We were
Mike-
going through players that were better than Jimmy Butler. I
Mike-
ceded the floor, all of them. He goes Khris Middleton,
Mike-
and then he changes.
Well,
it
you
to the end of the
started
game.
going over people overall better than him, but the larger question was at the end of the game down the stretch, who do you trust
You
more?
just changed what you said.
I don't think so.
No, you're not listening.
Mike, I got to side with them.
Oh man.
Oh my God!
And Middleton's flatly better than Jimmy Butler.
No, I think that we changed the conversation.
Or that if you change the K to a C, he goes to Springfield.
His last name was Krash.
Oh,
Khris
man.
Krash.
Khris Krash.
Wow.
Khris Krash, I'd side with them, and I'm not even sure what I'd be siding with.
You guys trust Middleton less, even though he was great in the finals and is somebody who can score on anybody. You guys trust him less because his name is Middleton. Because he can't, and it's the middle. The middle, you got to have a great or something that's not in the middle. It's just the middle. It's not
Yeah.
even the ton.
Yeah. If he was top ton, easy. But not bottom ton.
No.
No.
No,
It's a
that would
bad
be
name.
terrible. That would be terrible.
Right down the Middleton. Yeah. That's the problem.
I don't know what's happening here. By me just merely saying he's not better than Jimmy Butler, I think that this is going to get aggregated into me saying that he's not a good player. I love Khris Middleton. He's impossible to stop.
Backtracking.
No, he's impossible to stop in certain situations. He killed the Miami Heat during their brief playoff series last year. You throw perfect defense on him. He's proven to be a Heat killer the entire time. He's also proven to be a really good NBA player. If he gets another NBA title, he might damn near be a Hall of Famer. He's got that kind of credentials to his name.
But you do look at the clutch numbers, and
Plumbers. That's
Jimmy Butler's are terrible this season.
Yes.
Yeah.
Per 36 minutes this season, well, I mean, you don't even have to look at per 36 minutes. 30% from the field, 8% from three. He doesn't even get free throw volume in clutch situations. He's only averaging 7.3 free throws per 36 minutes. You look at the best guys like John Morant's on 19 free throw attempts per 36 minutes in clutch situations.
Miami is not worthy of your trust late in games, just empirically, statistically.
26th in the league in offensive rating in clutch situations.
Where's Middleton on that list? Just out of curiosity.
Got to be better.
Well, I mean, his percentages are much better. If you look at his 45% from the field, 42% from three, is getting more free throws in clutch situations per 36 minutes than Jimmy Butler is. Averaging 19 points per 36
You
in
don't
clutch.
even know what you're doing.
Does it matter? Apologies, anyone?
I
mean,
test, yeah.
Nah, I'm good.
I have an idea for Spo.
All right, I
And
see
don't,
what's happening.
Don't have me be the guy telling Spo how to coach a
got me
team. What if Spo just sat Jimmy Butler for the first quarter and only played him the final three? So then there's none of that exhaust. There's none of that going on in the fourth quarter because he's well rested.
Kudos to you. This went into full absurdity, and I
What do
played
you
right
mean?
into your hands. I lost a homer team, and I guess I'm just doubling down on the Heat. I'm not sure what's happening, but you guys win.
I want
Fatigue.
I lay my sword down.
to discuss what would appear to be the Achilles heel of what would otherwise seem to be a championship team. Those numbers don't win at the end of playoff games. And I'm asking you guys again, when it comes to Eric Spoelstra, in an organization of lifers and loyalists who always are talking about culture, Eric Spoelstra, at the end, when Dwayne Wade shouldn't have been shooting the threes, said again and again, I go to my grave with that.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep trusting that. I don't care what the math says. I trust him late in games. He knows how to do this. He's experienced. That's what I trust. And I think he will extend that as well to Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
And I'm asking you, as Jimmy Butler ages and will have a $50 million contract at 36 years old when he's already not making shots from the outside, I ask you, how long is Spoelstra going to trust that?
Forever. And you threw out a blanket statement, and it would be natural for no one to push back on. We've seen the Heat's numbers in the clutch. When it was LeBron, when it was Wade, they did win titles that way. It's hard to put up good numbers in clutch situations.
Mike, but it's hard for everybody, and they're worse than anybody.
No, I think if you look at LeBron James's clutch stats, You'd be shocked. It's in the final moments of a game.
You don't believe this is an Achilles heel for this team?
Of course it is. Of course it is. I don't like our chances if a game's coming down to the final shot. I don't like any team. It's bad. It's a bad situation to be in.
Right.
Yeah, you don't let that happen.
We're-
I don't disagree, by the way, that this player is going to continue to age poorly in terms of shooting numbers. Hopefully, his game is one that's malleable. He turns more into a facilitator. He's still a good defender. That's going to be an albatross of a contract at 36. Worry about that at 36.
Right. We're talking about the Heat as if they're competing for the 8th seed. They're the best team in the East, not because of their top-tier talent, but because they have the best coach in the league, and Spo's finally going to win a Coach of the Year award. And why is he the Coach of the Year? Because they've had a lot of their key players out for long periods of time. They have the best depth in the East. They have 10 players averaging 8 points a game. They have like 9 players averaging 23 minutes or more.
I'm telling you that's why the country. All I'm doing is making the argument on behalf of why Mike Ryan wonders, why are people not considering the Heat seriously? I'm telling you, you can disagree with me whether the Achilles heel is real, whether you can overcome it, anything else. When you clamor for the nation regarding your team with the proper credit, because it has been great all season long, one of the finest Heat seasons we've seen under impossible circumstances, continually churning out another Max Strus and all of these and Yurtsevin and all of these players where you're like, what is this? How can this possibly be over the Nets? When it comes to playoff time, the country, if I ask them to bet, you haven't seen the Nets play together all season, bet it right now. Yep. Heat Nets, who are you betting? The Nets are going to be the favorite.
Sure. No, you're right.
They should be the favorites.
You're right, but not for the reason that you outlined. I don't think the country at large is combing through their clutch numbers to see who's better. I think it ultimately goes down to the original point that we were making that got super convoluted when Khris Middleton's name got entered the fray. It's you'd rather have Giannis than Jimmy Butler, better player. You'd rather have Kevin Durant than Jimmy Butler, better player. And when the going gets tough, you know Eric Spoelstra is going to go to Jimmy Butler. Can he do what he did 2 years ago against a much better conference? Many people would doubt that. The Miami Heat are a different team, though.
I heard a podcast outlining all NBA teams from Zach Lowe and Kevin Arnovitz, and they did not put Jimmy Butler or any Miami Heat player in their all NBA team. So you don't have any of the, in theory, 15 best players in the league this season. And that's the top-end talent. One of those top-end talents is what you need, in theory, to win in the playoffs.
Only a couple of times have we seen, I think, in our lifetimes watching this, correct me if I have this wrong, the Pistons won as team that doesn't really have a huge star. And I was going to say Dallas, but Nowitzki was a star.
He was a big star.
They did team, and it just happened to be one star against 3. But in our lifetime, teams built like the Heat don't tend to win the championship.
You're saying team over superstar. So you're right. The Pistons with Ben Wallace, Chauncey Billups. Billups was a star of that team, but I think that's the only example.
Outside of Golden State and Phoenix, I don't have a team whose offense I enjoy watching for ball movement more than the Miami Heat, and yet at the end of the games in the playoffs, that doesn't exist. The ball movement's not helping you. You need one guy to make a shot over somebody else. That's like to create his own shot at the end of game.
Have you been watching Golden State recently? Because they're going through it far worse than the Miami Heat.
Forgive me. I'm talking about when they're healthy.
I know his clutch numbers aren't great. We're looking at him right now, Tyler Heroes, but hasn't he earned the right? Jimmy's so bad in those clutch spots.
I know what you're saying. I've thought it. And every time I think it, from Jimmy's cold, dead hands. Right. Is he going to let that guy take the shots at the end?
Jimmy, I understand Spo used to do that with Wade. And Jimmy's not Wade. Jimmy's great, but he's not what Wade was.
No, Jimmy's Jimmy. And you need to worry about Jimmy.
I think it would be good coaching to let Tyler, because in those spots, Jimmy's not going to get you from the elbow a jumper. Like I'd rather have Tyler do that.
The problem
You're
is
asking for problems.
If you're coaching against the Heat, the shot you want is Jimmy Butler. When the Heat had LeBron and Wade, you had to double or triple team those guys. They would distribute the ball. You want Jimmy to shoot. He's not going to get double teamed.
The reason I'm lobbing this question out at the audience is because Mike Ryan is going to do these things about you got to pry it from Jimmy Butler's cold, dead 19% from the field.
I know what you're trying to
do.
You're trying to pose an argument that Tyler should be the guy.
This is what I'm telling you. Tyler Hero makes scoring look easier than Jimmy Butler makes scoring look. I don't know whether that's eye test, but as I'm watching the game, I'm like, man, offense is just easier for this guy. He was 5 for 15 yesterday, and they ended up losing. He could give you 30 off the bench easily any night because no one can stop him from shooting.
Jimmy's working for it. You're right. He works a lot harder to get his on the offensive side.
To me, Wade seemed like more of a grinder than Tyler Hero, and Wade wasn't a grinder. It's just the baskets are so easy for Tyler Hero that you're like, wait a minute, how did he just float through the lane on two guys who are 6'9" and taller than him?
I guess the thinking is that it's much harder to generate your own shot. And Tyler this year has improved in generating his own shot, but what you're looking for is a chance. There's a reason why Wade was the guy, even when LeBron was on the team for the most part, is Jimmy and Dwayne can get their shot off in that moment when Jimmy's not turning the ball over.
He can get to the hoop, right? Jimmy, you want going to the basket. If you need a shot from the elbow, that's what I'm saying. I just feel like Spo, it's on Spo to make a tough decision and say, hey, Jimmy, you're terrible in these spots. We're calling the play for Tyler. I get that that's a scary thing to do, but that's what you got to do if you're Spo.
Coach of the year, probably.
I would argue that if you're ever using the expression shot from the elbow, that's a good time and a good conversation to have a late arriving Amin El Hassan be a part of what it is that you're talking about. Our basketball expert who flew in on a red eye.
Yeah, we missed him here.
A red eye last night. I think we should just pause.
Is that the name of the bar he was at?
I think we should just sit here and wait for Amin to get here so that he can give us for the local audience that wants his opinion on the Miami Heat.
And Middleton.
Khris is right, though. You guys are ignoring. I mean, are we here to be friends with Jimmy Butler or are we here to coach Jimmy Butler?
Mm-hmm.
If you can't make the shots, you don't take them, okay?
Mike is sitting here afraid of Jimmy Butler.
You can build this up in Jimmy Butler's mind. Hey, Jimmy, everyone's going to be attacking you. So we're going to draw all the attention to you, and then you give it to Tyler.
Yep.
Right.
Decoy for the guy with the Corona commercials.
I think he'll play ball.
Make a little ultra. That's fine.
Oh, wow. Wow. I'm out of money.
And he mouthed the word "Bafo," and he's just happy to be hearing anyone singing about him. It doesn't matter whether it's good or not. He just loves that they're singing about him.
That was really good. That was Yeti Blanc from the Greg Cote Show podcast, and it's really good. I had a lot of fun listening to that. I'll tell you.
You wanted to say fantastic.
Wow.
No, I didn't. I edited myself.
We've got it.
Getting progressively younger and younger with all these Beach Boys parody songs.
Damn
so
right.
We've really carved out a lane for ourselves. By the way, a lot of controversy surrounding our Ja Morant song. That was made by a debuting Jeremy Taché. Apparently, The Ringer produced their own Ja Morant song prior to.
Oh no!
Wow. Yeah. So we've got parody copyright infringement from Jer Bear.
Did they air theirs before we aired ours?
They did.
Oh my God!
It's kind of that conversation though. If a tree falls and no one hears it, though, am I right?
No, it's not with the Ringer.
It's a popular podcast. It's a popular thing.
We copied the We copied them.
It looks like we copied them on Ja Morant, and they also did the Beach Boys. They did the same song.
Ja Morant.
Oh my God!
boy.
Oh, no.
That is a terrible look for us.
Potential scandal embroiling Jeremy.
I took it upon myself to suspend Jeremy Taché from today's show.
You're
Seems
not
fair.
you're not the executive producer of the show anymore. Why did
No,
you take it
but-
upon yourself? Are your new duties to be
No,
an
but I'm a
over
new
punisher?
suit here. It's still ultimately my call, and is one of my first duties in my new role here, and it needed to happen.
Yes.
I think. We can't
How do
be
you
having
take it? How do you?
It's our first Metal Arc suspension.
that. Yeah, I don't care how we took it.
All right.
There's a new rule of land here.
Okay.
Wow.
The tweeters are writing in the flip that the show has done on Aaron Rodgers and Jorge Masvidal is nuts, all just because of the politics. They hate a person so quickly. It's appalling. Bleep, I love the show, but that's clown show shit they don't even see. Dan and Mike specifically.
Is that guy?
And then from yesterday's show, being a sports fan is hard. This was the lament of Mike Ryan and Jessica. Being a sports fan is hard was a weird thing to hear on the LeBatard show against the backdrop of a month-long war in Ukraine and other macro things in the world. No, it's not hard. Do something else.
Is that guy?
The war card.
Yeah.
Always wins.
man, so much to choose from. Let's go with the Aaron Rodgers and Jorge Masvidal thing. I think that you still like Aaron Rodgers. And
I like both of those guys for what it is that they do, and I found some of their behavior to be disappointing. I don't hate anybody, and I, reconsidered our affiliation with those people based on what Masvidal was doing with not just espousing QAnon stuff, but campaigning for Trump. But it doesn't mean I hate him. It just means that we are not, friends in a steakhouse when he's fighting Colby Covington last night. We're not having dinner there.
You were there?
I love his
Whose
story.
side were you on?
It was Papi Steakhouse. It was one of those Grutman joints. There's a Papi Steakhouse, and I didn't know which side to choose because Covington is here saying he's Mr. Miami, and he can't be Mr. Miami.
He's calling himself King of Miami despite not being from Miami.
It's crazy.
It's not. No one's really calling him that except for him. But there was a fight. Masvidal's management claims a tooth was lost on the Covington side. There's all sorts of reports saying, well, it wasn't exactly a fair fight. There was a bum rush situation. We're still waiting on details. But anybody that thought it was an act between those two selling that fight, it's not. There's real bad blood there.
Covington said, well, it's super personal because they used to be guys who roomed together and trained together.
It used to be mad love.
And thank you, Billy. And Covington is saying that he did not lose a tooth, that he donated it to first responders. So I think that is I believe
that's confirming early reports.
I believe that's a confirmation that he did indeed lose
it's a good line. It's a good line. It's tough in MMA. In combat sports specifically, you set a lot aside. When it came to Masvidal, though, the QAnon thing was a bridge too far for this show at that time in history. I'm not saying he's done on the show. He was just done for now. He went on Stupidity, did he not?
He did not, but I've been in communication with Masvidal. I don't care about the politics stuff. I know it rubs people the wrong way, but I don't talk about it. I don't really care about other people's politics. I know what he did rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. It rubbed me the wrong way, but I'm still friendly with him.
Yeah, I was rooting for Masvidal the last fight over Covington. It's just pick your poison there, but that's also a Miami thing, and I'm willing to look beyond certain things when it comes to combat sports. I know that's a weird moving goalpost situation. Aaron Rodgers, what happened last year specifically, what I felt was dishonesty, did make me change my perception of him. I love watching him play. He deserved the MVP. He's just not my favorite player in the NFL anymore.
But hate is such a strong term. All it is that I really respect what these guys did for a living. The story of Masvidal is nuts, Stugotz. It's to just climb out of the sewer to make a living with your fists and your mouth. Like, how can I not respect that? To come from this city and have that story at Kimbo Slice's knee, learning to make a home and a life for yourself with your hands in the street, and to parlay that into a career that doesn't have a precedent in that sport, which is to snake your way up as a journeyman into a star late in life with your mouth. I respect the story, and then was stunned, as many of us were over the last 4 years, everything that happened to reveal just what was a scary and overt racism, among other things, being exposed, and he was going even further through conspiracy into a dangerous area where, because Covington and him thought it was funny, Covington, I still think it's an act, that he just saw what Masvidal did and said, oh, wait, doesn't even matter how great a fighter I actually am if I can sell these fights with my mouth. They both learned it from McGregor, that I can become a bigger star in this sport if I just make a mess. So he wears the MAGA hat, and he's just doing that earlier than anybody else, Covington is. And then Masvidal is even further off in the extremes, talking about conspiracy theories with the QAnon stuff that end up, Stugotz, with, somebody showing up with guns at an alleged pedophile attic in a pizza parlor in Washington because of some of the dangerous conspiracy echoes that are out there that people are buying into. And so he was doing something that was dangerous
on our platform too. It was just a dangerous time. That entire weight class in the UFC is just one big battle royal to see who's more MAGA than everybody else. You do it with Usman too. Who you got to back in that weight class if you don't agree with their politics? You just don't like the sport at that point. And ultimately, I like seeing two guys fight it out in the cage because worst case scenario, I'm seeing one of these two guys get punched in the face.
Dan, you don't need to defend your track record here on whether or not you hate people. You're respectful of people and their thoughts and their beliefs. I mean, you said you don't hate anyone. We all know you hate Dennis and Callahan from WEEI in Boston, but other than that, I can't think of anyone else that you actually do hate.
I don't hate.
Yeah, you hate those guys.
I don't know. I thought Dennis and Callahan.
Everyone hates somebody, Dan.
Embrace the hate.
Okay, so
When it came to the platform and that point in history, I just thought it was too difficult to give our platform over to some of those beliefs. We did an entire South Beach session where we heard his side out. For everybody that says you don't share the other side, we were too uncomfortable sharing that side because that side was particularly dangerous. I was against it. There were plenty of votes within this room that were like, well, what does it matter? It's combat sports. Let's go. I have people in my life that still are MAGA that I haven't cut off yet. It's just I don't give them the platform of this show to espouse some of their kooky beliefs.
But I wonder with Masvidal, and he may be a brilliant businessman for all I know, because he understands that his persona is as much mouth as fist or foot. What is the chance that he's contriving all this, that he's creating a persona
he
that
hates
includes
Covington.
QAnon?
No, the Covington stuff is real. Those guys really do. I mean, that is not for show that they're having a fight a few blocks from here during a time, incidentally. It's state emergency in Miami Beach. We're in the middle of a curfew and gunshots ringing out a block from here way too often. And in the middle of that, they're at a steakhouse. And that is I don't think that anyone watching that disputes that all of that is real. That those two, whatever happened between them, a friendship came apart because those guys were close. And now it's like scorned. I don't even know. Where in fighting sports am I going to get more rabid hatred between guys than two guys who were really friends and then it fell apart, wherever it is that fell apart? Unless somebody is sleeping with somebody else's other, I don't know that you're going to get in that sport a fire between two people like the one that exists between these two guys. I feel like those two guys would fight anywhere that they were in the same place.
And you don't hold out any chance that they are manipulating everybody else by contriving this sudden hatred.
I don't. Does anyone in the other room think that? Does anyone in the other room think this is wrestling? Because these two guys are turning up their personalities otherwise into wrestlers. Do you think the thing between them two is wrestling?
There was no hug after the fight where people use their mouths to sell fights. There was real animosity there. It was a more of a tribal thing with American Top Team. Even for Miami on 305 Day, people kind of knew what they were getting into with that fight. It kind of unfolded the way that everyone thought, and you still were hoping against hope Colby Covington would get taught a lesson.
Dan, the other thing too is on site, right? Like that's what's missing here in this equation. Masvidal said it's on site. When I see you, I'm going to just throw up hands, and that's what it was, right? You can't wrestle at Papi Steakhouse. You're only throwing hands.
Well, it's not just that, though. Covington showed that he was Mr. Miami at the steakhouse, and it would appear that Masvidal got the alert and just headed straight for the steakhouse. Like
it was the bad
he
signal,
wasn't
Dan.
planning on having steak?
I don't think they ran into each other at dinner. I think Covington was claiming he was Mr. Miami at dinner, and just Masvidal just took a convoy straight to Papi's Steakhouse.
Tony, you're our lead detective here
That's
on
right.
staff. It's hard to really understand what went on here from Twitter. Can you lay out all the Twitter rumor and innuendo and try to parse what's the truth here?
So it's going to be tough because there's a lot of camps saying a lot of things, and TMZ's got camera and video footage of 40 minutes after the alleged fight. A lot of people are alleging that Masvidal came in and bum rushed him and sucker punched him. Obviously where the tooth is missing. I don't think it was a stand-up fight where all of a sudden tables cleared, somebody kicked over a chair, and they just went at it. I don't think that's what it was. So I'm still doing a lot of investigating. I'm going to reach out to the Kawas, see what really happened.
I'm checking Purple's Instagram right now.
Oh, yeah, that's a good bet. Marlon's man, too, probably.
Tony didn't say the real reckless thing. I mean, maybe he doesn't want to say it, but you said there was another.
I'm a detective. I mean, I don't dabble in recklessness.
We're not
obviously.
talking about the details of an open pending investigation.
That's also true.
Editorialist.
But go ahead, Chris.
Well, I'm not going to say
Oh,
it.
yeah.
I'm going to say
Yeah,
that.
big boy.
But I felt like that's why Mike. You said something when the mics were off, and then Mike was like, "Tony, you're our main guy in this," and then you didn't say that.
What did I say?
I didn't say the thing.
We're
not saying the baby mama.
Chris,
We're
what
not
was
saying
the
the
thing
baby
that you
mama.
wanted
the
him
baby
to
mama
say?
thing.
No, of course.
There's
Look, he
allegedly,
can't help himself.
this is Chris speaking. I'm speaking for Chris.
No,
here.
let's not do this. That's fine. We will not mention the baby mama thing.
Purple was his swan last night, so it's a
Oh,
deadly,
yeah, no.
Where was
unfortunately.
Josh
Yeah.
Zavellos?
It was a Slater scoop. Slater's
Guy knows everything, man.
Slater's beating up the entire South Florida media. Every steakhouse that there's a fight in, Slater swoops in and beats old Greg Cote, old Scoops Cote.
Yeah, that's fine. The whole thing sounds contrived to me. Think about it. It's great publicity for both combatants. It's great publicity for the steakhouse. Nobody loses here. These guys are two performers.
You're going to Papi now?
It really is.
Either
Covington or Masvidal has a steak in the steakhouse.
That's right.
Yeah.
In and out of the octagon, everybody wins here. These guys are performers.
Guillermo, put it on the poll, please. Do Covington and Masvidal have a steak in the steakhouse?